Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Rickoff, and I am the dealer principal at Thekwini Toyota in Durban. I'm sure you guys are all having a fantastic lockdown, and for those of you who are bored, I hope this video challenges you and your cooking skills, because tonight I'm going to be cooking a simple lamb curry, my style. I hope you enjoy the video. Before we get started, a little lesson on cutting onions to stop you from crying. I won't charge any of you for this video. Watch and learn. Firstly, we're going to put the onion on its side. We're going to cut the top end off. Never ever cut the root off first. If you cut the root off first, it makes you cry. Once you've cut that top end off, you turn it on its side. The onion in half. And then we're going to give the onion a simple dice. Downwards first. Once in the middle. And it will all still stay together and make it easier for you to do your dicing sideways like that. Ensure you got equal, even sized pieces of onion without any tears, without any fuss. Alright, so we're going to go through the ingredients. I won't say the amounts now because I need to keep this video relatively short. But if we're going to start off, we're going to start off with some beautiful biryani mix, some cinnamon, some sum seeds, some cloves, star anise seed, some ilachi, and some bay leaves. We're then going to have one medium-sized onion, handful of chilies or a few chilies, depends how strong you want your curry. The secret ingredient, a little bit of thyme, my special curry powder, which is made up of chili powders, masalas, jeera powders, sumph powders, coriander powders, my secret mix. We then want to crush ginger and garlic fresh, not bought as a mixture. We have some curry leaves, 2 small grated jam tomatoes, a little bit of garam masala, some coriander. We've got 4 potatoes cut in 2 quarters. And we've got about 2 kilos of lamb. We are in lockdown, so it's a bit hard to get the exact cut we want. I like to use some ribs, and I like to use a little bit of the leg of lamb, but here we've just got some string pieces of lamb. We'll also need a little bit of oil and some coarse cooking salt. So to start off, we're going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom of a nice curry pot, and we're going to add in all our dried spices so they can temper. Allow them for about a minute or 2, but don't allow them to burn. So now that our spices are nicely and tempered and not burnt, we're going to add in our onions, our chilies, and our thyme. Make sure you always cook with a wooden spoon to not damage your pots. Also tastes better with a wooden spoon. So salt is a very personal thing. And like the old aunties will tell you, it's all about the feel when you're putting salt in your dish. I like to put my salt with my onions so that it helps extract the water out of them faster. So my onions are almost golden brown, and it's time to add in the curry powder. As a rule of thumb, a medium to hot curry powder, you like to use 2 tablespoons of curry powder for every kilo of meat, depending on how hot you want the curry to be. I'm going to allow the curry powder to temper for a minute or so without burning, and then I'm going to add in the ginger and garlic mix. We're going to be adding the garlic in now that the curry powder has been frying for about 2 minutes. We're now going to be adding the meat in, so just before the garlic starts burning. Once I've added the meat in, I like to take my curry leaves and split half of them with the tomatoes, and I like to add about half of them with the meat now to cook together. Try not to leave the pot unattended when it's on a high heat, especially when you're braising your meat, as it so quickly can stick to the bottom, and once it burns, it ruins the whole dish. Have a look at our progress so far. The meat is browning nicely, and I'll be ready shortly to add the next ingredient. So the meat has been browning for about 10 minutes now, and we're ready to put in the grated tomato and the balance of the curry leaves. If you find your curry gets a little bit dry, you can add a little bit of water every now and then, but please ensure to cook the water out. Now that the tomatoes are in with the meat, we're going to turn the heat down to just below medium to allow the curry to cook slowly. And we're going to add in the potatoes in about 15 minutes time. Give the potatoes another half an hour to cook, and this whole dish shouldn't take more than an hour. The tomato has been in for about 10 minutes. I'm now going to add about a teaspoon of garam masala to the mixture and a little bit of water to the curry. About a half a cup of hot water. Color's looking right. For all my fellow Caucasian people watching this, when you buy your potatoes, ask your grocer to give you up-to-date potatoes. They cook a lot better. Or you can ask them for some gravy soakers. I like to keep a little bit of water with the potatoes just to assist with the steaming. Once the potatoes in, give them a good stir, get them all underneath the gravy, but make sure not to stir later on. We don't want the potatoes to break up. So our curry is almost ready, and some of you might ask yourselves, what do we eat with our curry? Well, that's your personal preference. Some like fresh white bread, some like rice, some like roti, some like naan bread. So I'm just going to give you a quick tip how to cook the perfect basmati rice. Take your dry rice, a cup of dry rice, put it in a container, and ensure that you rinse your rice with fresh cold water about 3 times, and then drain your rice. You then take the rice, put it in a pot, and add 1.5 cups of fresh cold water with a little bit of salt. Put the rice on a heat, close the lid, and let it do its thing. As soon as it comes to a boil, take the lid off and give it a little bit of a stir with a fork. Close the lid and leave it closed for 8 minutes, sometimes 8.5 minutes. Once the time is up, turn the heat off, remove the pot off the stove, froth the rice once more with a fork, close the lid for another 3 minutes, and then serve the perfect basmati rice. Our potatoes are now nice and soft and our curry is ready, and there's one last step. To add our fresh dhania or coriander, and allow the curry another couple minutes just to steam to enjoy the flavor. So our curry is now cooked and we've got a decent color. The only thing now is to dish up and to fight over the moolah bones. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video.